I think, Amos, the most significant, or one of the key significant events from last week was the fact that foreigners are coming into the market quite aggressively. As I said, a 93% jump week on week in foreign investor activity on the market. From your view, what is getting these foreigners excited about the Nairobi Stock Exchange?
Definitely saw a huge foreign participation last week, particularly on the banking sector. We saw them coming in actually to push some of these banking stocks to some of their highest levels. We are seeing KCB up to about 2250. This was mainly driven by foreign buyers coming in. We also saw equity actually moving up to levels of 19, and actually equity is trading ex-dividend, and actually before the dividend was trading at levels below 19, but right now it's actually trading at levels of 19, which is actually a boost by foreign individuals. We also saw them coming in to pick up a few of the industrial counters. So I think they're actually looking at the value in some of these particular stocks.
Okay, so let's look at some of the results that filtered through last week. British American investments came through right at the end of Friday, so the market didn't have much time to digest those numbers. But looking at the numbers, it turned to a loss-making position for the full year of 2011, sitting with a loss of around 2 billion shillings. And it really looks like the equity exposure there really hit the company. I mean, Equity Bank being one of their biggest exposures.
Definitely saw them reporting a loss of about 4 billion shillings compared to the profit they made last year, which is quite detrimental to the stock. We've actually seen the stock has actually been trading at prices below its IPO issue price. It's been trading at levels of about 4 shillings and 20 cents. And actually we may see it actually trade at levels below now 4 shillings with investors actually taking a bit of caution on that particular stock. If you're looking at most of the insurance investment companies, they're actually reporting profits for the year. So investors are a bit worried and concerned about the negative or the negative results that have come out from BRITAC, and them to say that it's actually based on because of the equity performance. We're waiting to see what will happen again this year, considering the market has been seesawing in terms of performance.
But let's look at their core insurance business, clearly showing resilience during the full year last year, and it looks like their tie-up with Equity Bank has been beneficial to them in terms of the micro-insurance space.
Definitely, them putting their money in Equity Bank was actually a plus for them in terms of performance. I don't think you can actually weigh that in terms of the loss they're making in the industry and and what they're making through equity. I think if you're looking at how much dividend equity has been given since BRITAC bought into it, and also if you're looking at how much the share price has appreciated, I think that is a plus for them. But the main issue is not only in terms of the other counters that they hold in the market. Maybe if you're looking at BRITAC, maybe that might be one of the counters that is actually pushing down in terms of their performance, because it's actually down by almost half of the initial IPO price. So that may have dented their books in such a huge way. But yet again, BRITAC is also actually now expanding its range of investments, because they are now looking at going into real estate, and that may be a plus for them going forward.
So now the company is looking to reduce its exposure to the equity market, given the fact that it had such a tough 2011. And as you say, looking to move into the region, South Sudan being one of the markets that it's targeting, of course, the newest country in Africa right now. What are your prospects in terms of earnings for the company as it grows in the region?
In terms of growth, there's actually potential in terms of growth in the region. We've actually seen other insurance companies also spread their wings into Eastern Africa. We've actually seen Jubilee opening branches in Tanzania and also in Rwanda and Burundi. And actually this is a plus for them. If you're looking at the requirement or the need for the insured in the region is actually quite high. If you're looking at the middle class, the middle class is actually growing in the region, and that's actually a plus for them. You're looking at insurance products that actually cater for this particular niche of people, and actually for me I think it's a plus for them to actually expand their business, not only in Kenya but also in Sudan, in Uganda, in Tanzania. I think there are actually opportunities available for them there, not only in insurance products, but also, as I said earlier, they're also looking at real estate development. So I think that is also must be a good plus for them going forward.
Another company that, of course, has got exposure in the East African region, one of the biggest exposures is through the the Rift Valley Railway development, and of course the investment there is TransCentury. We saw results coming out of TransCentury last week. What are your thoughts on how the counters are likely to trade? Looking at those numbers that came through, we saw a mild uptick year on year in earnings per share, and of course dividends really increasing quite substantially, up by 25%.
Definitely, we may see some activity coming in on this particular counter, but the main investor caution or investor appetite for it is actually low, mainly because of the investment in the railway sector. We're yet to see any movement or any plus coming in that particular sector. But if looking at the other investment or the other industry investments, they've actually been doing quite well. Look at East African Cables, one of the investments, reported earnings the other day, 80% increase in jump in profits. They also acquired a civil and mechanical engineering company this financial year. So that is also a plus for them. So we may see a bit of cautious approach to the counter coming in from today. But going forward, I think the only thing they need to sort out is the investment in Rift Valley Railways. And I think for me, part of the other investment is actually quite strong.
Okay, so that's of course a 34% stake there. That is a concern for you, but overall, would you be buying the counter right now?
Yeah, I would be buying the counter. If you're looking at their performance in the other sector, manufacturing sector, cable sector, these are actually growth sectors for them. And for me, I think that is a plus for them in terms of investment. Those are strong investment sectors for them. And for me, that is a plus in terms of investment. I will invest in the counter.
And of course, geared towards infrastructure. Yeah, infrastructure spend in the region. Amos, lastly, before we go, what are your key focuses in terms of the market this week? Any events that you'd like to highlight that the market should be aware of?
We saw some counters actually coming ex-dividend last week, Barclays being one of them. A bit of activity coming in also for Bamburi Insurance, Bamburi Cement. But also the main concern for us is actually Kenya Airways. The counter is actually trading at levels below the IPO, the rights issue price, which is 14, and the counter is trading at levels of 13, 13.20, which is a main concern. We should be a main concern to actually some of the investors. Should they go for the rights or should they go for the share price? The share price is actually trading at cheaper levels, much cheaper levels than the rights issue price. So that may be a bit of concern for the issuers of the rights.